Another episode of On the Road with the Loan Signing System. Here with signing agent Mike in Portland, Oregon. And the amazing part is he's only been in the business for 2.5 months. And Mike, can you tell everybody how much money you made this month as a notary signing agent?
I closed over $12,000 as of this morning.
$12,000 in one calendar month. Man, when I say that to you, how does that make you feel?
To be honest, there aren't words that can describe it. Based on where I was, what I was facing, what my family was facing, I'm almost tearing up. It truly is emotional. There's no other way to describe it.
No, I love it, man. And did you think 2.5 months ago that we would be talking? You said, Mark, I made $12,000 in 30 days.
No, I mean, I don't even know if you remember this. I called you before joining LSS. It was a Saturday, and I'm like, I'm having some success, and why should I join LSS? And obviously, you said some convincing things and where I can go, but there was no way that I could have ever imagined this magnitude of success in such a short period of time. There's just no way to describe it. It's life-changing, period.
And you hit on something, by the way, which I think is really important, is, you called me up, you had your doubts, and we had a conversation, and you didn't let the fear of the unknown of like, oh, should I or should I not? And you just did it. And that's what a successful person does, man. They take action and they don't let the nerves. Because I remember the phone call. I remember us in front of my house. I remember 100%. And I heard you doubting. And so I appreciate you believing in yourself and taking, because I want a lot of other people to realize that, you're now a $12,000 a month signing agent, and you had some of those doubts. And, a $12,000 a month signing agent also has doubt. There's a myth that if you do $12,000, you're like superbly confident and you just come from a sales background and you're just made for this business. And I love how you talked about like you were nervous and you didn't know, and you actually had to talk to me on the phone about it. And I think that's a really cool part of the story that I didn't remember.
Well, also, and I'll briefly touch on the confidence part. I had a really solid April. I think we're going to go through some of the numbers, but and then I was so new at this, I still didn't understand the concept of what we'll call monthly seasonality, meanings that, refis end because the right of rescission, and then things drop off. And I remember this because the first week of May, I was like, where are the calls? Where's the text? Was this a 1 month wonder? Is this over? I mean, I was in panic mode week one. I had my first day since starting it that I had no jobs. Now I had texts, but I didn't want to take the $75 ones, but I had 0 jobs on a Wednesday. I remember it like it was yesterday. And then bam, everything just rocked and rolled. And here I am $12,000 later.
I love it. I love it. Well, there's one thing I want you to listen to yourself just say, and that is, I had texts for $75 and I didn't want to take them. I think, could you imagine you saying that when you first started this business?
No, I mean, and that's part. I think that's part of the problem that maybe a lot of us do, because I'm a pragmatic person. $75 an hour isn't chopped liver. $85 an hour is not chopped liver. That is more money than
most people make.
Of the people make. Right. So it is kind of funny to sit here and go, and I want it.
The point I was trying to make is there's a signing agent journey, right? And there's a curve we all go through, and you should actually be proud of yourself. And that's really what I was leading towards, is that you've become so far in your journey so quick that you cannot take the $75 signing. So I want another beginning signing agent to actually get inspired by that, right? You took the $75 appointments in the beginning, but there was a moment in your journey where that almost didn't become worth your time. And that's a testament to the way you built your business, which we're going to talk about. But I actually wanted you to pat yourself on the back because that's a really cool part of your thing. And I also wanted to inspire another signing agent who's accepting $75 appointments, that there will be a moment in time where you're not going to take those, but in the beginning, it's a $12,000 a month signing agent once took those exact signings, right?
Absolutely. And you got to remember there's a pyramid. So there's going to be a lot more jobs at 75, 85, 95. That's just a fact. There are more of those. So if you're looking for activity, cut your teeth, and bring it on. And again, how many people make $75 an hour? You know?
I think the first 3 minutes of conversation has just been unbelievable. So let's go into like the really, I think almost the most important question I ask, and it's why did you choose to become a signing agent to begin with?
So I had heard about this from a teaching job I had. Somebody told me it's the greatest thing he's ever found. He was in real estate, but he did this and makes a ton of money, freedom, and so on and so forth. So I went part of the way, but I was still working in 2 other businesses that I had. And then all of a sudden, the pandemic hit. Job number 1, the big one, went away because it was a teaching job in front of folks. Boom, went away. The second one has to do with the elderly. Boom, gone. And I was faced looking at, mortgage payments. I've got 2 kids. Knock on wood, my wife has a great job. But I'm half the equation, brother. And when you're looking at all of a sudden 0, and you have no idea, I knew it wasn't 1 month away, 2 months away, 3 months away before any of those would start kicking up again. So we're talking sheer panic. I mean, literal panic. What am I going to do to move the needle tomorrow? And then all of a sudden it was like, aha, I gotta pursue this because it's still out there. I talked to my buddy. Are you kidding? I'm doing tons of these. It's unbelievable, So, that's I had to do those other things, finish it up, and I'll say it this way. I call it moving the needle. I've got to do something that's going to move the needle. Now, and my wife would probably slap me because this is what, is it moving the needle? Can I get that income to move the needle? And in our conversations, I'm going to do this, she's like, yeah, whatever, you're notary, how much can you make? I don't know. But, start off in March, boom, 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 get some jobs, and then it starts to roll. And all of a sudden, that meter, it's like, what
$12,000 in 1 month later. I mean, right? I mean,
that moves the needle.
the needle's rocking on like this. You can't move anymore. Here's what I think is really inspiring, by the way, and thank you for sharing your story. I mean, what I heard, and make sure I'm summarizing it correctly, is a pandemic made both of your other businesses just go away.
Correct.
You lost your income due to the pandemic. And what I think is inspiring is you're not the only person where that's happened to. There's 35 million people unemployed right now. And, sharing your story of panic and feeling the pressure of putting food on the table for your family and not putting all that burden, quote unquote, on your wife, and talking about what that feels as the other provider of the family. I just want to say thank you for talking through those, because there's someone else watching this right now who's like, Mike, I lost my job or my income or my source of income through the pandemic or because of it, who probably experienced the exact same feelings you experienced of like, what next?
Well, and I'll say this too. I always know, life and our ability to survive is based on 2 components. It's controlling your expenses and revenue. Right? So when you lose your jobs, when you lose your income, everything goes into expense control. And I kept looking my wife in the eyes and go, it has nothing to do with expense control, because there's only so much, how much can you stop eating, or you can't change your mortgage. You can maybe defer it. The only thing that's going to move the needle again is the revenue. That thing is unlimited if you get the right opportunity. And, it's hard for me to say that the pandemic was a good thing, and because it's not a good thing, right? We always, but my circumstances because of this, led me down a path that was life-changing for me.
And how blessed are we? And I talk to my wife almost every night about this lately. It's like, how blessed are we that we're in an industry that thrives in a downturn? I mean, there's 35 million people. You were one of them, lost their income because of the pandemic. But now you're making 12 grand in 30 days. Like how crazy it is that we're actually in an industry that thrives in a downturn. Sometimes like it's just crazy to think about when I wrap my head around it.
There's no way to, I've got close friends that I've talked to about this business. I as an entrepreneur, I've never known any business without employees that you could start with less than $1,000 and have unlimited upside. And I kept telling my good friends, because they knew the scenario I was in. I told them I'm starting this. Hey, I did a couple, I did 1,000, maybe oh, you kidding? You made 1,000 that quickly? Yeah, and then you text them again. Oh, I made 400 today. In one day, I made 400. Oh, you're kidding. Then they get them the next, oh, I made 600 today. And they're like, they can't get their heads around it.
Right.
It's insane. It's insane.
Well,
it's right in front of you. It's true. How long has the notary business been around? That's what's insane.
You know what I love, man? When you watch this back, like you're just smiling ear to ear, like you're just like you can feel just like your excitement for the future, right? You can just feel like like you found your niche, you found your calling, and I love it because I can sense it right now, man. A signing service is in your future. I know you know that to your core. Like this is just touching where you're going to scale this business to. I mean, you're doing 12 grand in your second full month essentially. At the end of by the next 10 months, you'll be signing service ready and you're going to be scaling this thing to 50 to 100 grand a month. There's no doubt in my mind, man.
Well, that's why I joined. That's why I joined you. That was the carrot that you held out for me. So,
and everything I said was true, was it not?
Yep, absolutely. 100%. 100%.
I love it, man. So, and what I like to talk about another fellow entrepreneur, because obviously I'm an entrepreneur too, and I teach all you students to be entrepreneurs first, signing agent second, business owners first, signing agent second, and that's what really makes a good, successful signing agent. But what I love to get is your perspective on, because you hit on something in this previous conversation about how this is the only business you've ever heard of that you can start for under $1,000 and have unlimited potential income. So as a serial entrepreneur, someone who's had a few businesses, whatever words you want to use, what are maybe some of the things that you love about this business outside of just the minimum, a startup cost that maybe another serial entrepreneur can relate to who's watching this? Sort of like, I've done a few different businesses. What makes this business different? Like, speak to another serial entrepreneur or business owner on kind of some of the pluses that you've seen transferring to this industry.
So what I loved about this, number one, is the very, very small startup cost. You could start with one ream of paper of legal and letter and you do a couple of signings. Number two is that, like my job where I was teaching, you're giving the same presentation over and over and over and over and over again. Granted, you need to identify that this lender might be docs might look a little bit different, but it's not like you've got to learn something new every day, something major league complex. I actually, when I talk to the clients when I'm signing with them, I say this job is about, it's called Where's Waldo? My job is to figure out where you're going to sign, right? And then explain to you the docs that you're signing, and that's what it is. But the point is it's repeatable. It's repeatable. You're going to see little nuances between Quicken Loans stock and Providence. But other than that, again, getting back to, as an entrepreneur, it's rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat.
It's duplicatable. I love all that stuff. You said something that I kind of want to maybe touch on is, that you were a teacher before this, right? And so did you have any mortgage experience, realtor experience? Because, there's a lot of people out there who go, Mark, I don't have any experience. Like, there's no way I could do this business. And I'm like, no, anyone could do this business. So now that you made $12,000, I mean, did you have any mortgage experience? Were you a former escrow officer? Were you a former loan officer? Talk about that.
Full disclosure, my Sunday and Saturday golf partner, and we're known to maybe have a cocktail or two on the golf course, is a Century 21 franchise owner.
Okay.
That's it.
So,
So in other words, no, I have no connections. I'm still beating him up to give me, and he's like, Mike, sales have been down. I haven't sold anything.
that's great. To wrap up this before we go into the next question, do you feel, Mike, that anyone could do this job?
Oh, absolutely. So, and this is how convicted I am in this. When I learned this after 2 weeks, I started late in life, got young kids, 15-year-old daughter going on 19. But I told her, when you go to college and you become 18, you will be a loan signing agent, period, end of story. Nope, you're not going to work for $13 an hour at a Gap. You are going to be a loan signing agent. If I could convince my kids to do this, hopefully, I mean, anybody can do this. Anybody can do this.
Love it, man. So let's inspire people with your journey. Okay, so people love to look into like kind of the journey of a $12,000 a month signing agent. So you've been a signing agent for 3 months, basically, beginning of March. So in the month of March, what was your income journey like? How much did you make more?
First signing was full swim, March 18th. I'll remember it till the end of the time. $1,600 in March.
Okay, right. So you did $1,600 in your first month, first 2 weeks of being a signing agent, right? I mean, at that moment, you were like, I just made $1,600 in 2 weeks. I'm brand spanking new at this. Like, what were you thinking? Like, at that moment, you're like, this is real. Like, okay, I'm all in. Like, kind of talk about that.
I was so happy and thankful. But the way my mind works is while I'm wrapping my head around it, I'm a numbers person too. It's like, cool. So if I did 1,600 in those 2 weeks, maybe $4,000 in April is a good number, because I should be able to bring that 16 to 2,000 because I'm stupid and dumb, and now I'm getting a little bit better at it. So $4,000, boy, if I could do that, now we're starting to pay the bills and do things like that. So it's just,
Okay.
push myself hard.
This is the cool part, because I know what's coming next. So, and I didn't realize that you were like, okay, if I can make $4,000 in April, I've won. How much money did you make in April?
Hey, $9,000, $91.50, I think it was.
So you went from $1,600 to $9,100 in one calendar month. Wow. So let's talk about that. How did that happen? Where did the explosiveness come from? Let's kind of take people through your journey of how you went from $1,600 in 2 weeks to $9,000 in the next 4 weeks.
Well, again, as a numbers person, first it was without knowing all the players, and I know about direct, and heard about that and stuff, and I did know some of the players. I know Old Republic, I know First American Time, so I knew their names, but obviously you don't see them. So for me, the key was doing multiple signings in a day. Mm-hmm. So get used to scaling up my business and do that. So once I started to do that and got comfortable, all of a sudden I got a First American job.
Because I think that was a really cool nugget, by the way. So in the beginning of your April, you were taking everything, and I thought that's a really cool insight. What you just said is you wanted to get used to doing multiple signings before you kind of took that leap into what we're going to talk about, direct business. But I want to inspire people, and I love that thought. Right? These interviews are epic. That, because some people poo-poo at $50 signings. Some people are like, oh my gosh, another $60 signing. Where you said, I'm going to take $60 signings, $75 signings, because it's going to prepare me for the next step. You had enough foresight that you were like, look, the money is what it is, but the experience is worth way more than whatever I'm getting paid. And I think that people in the beginning of their journeys should be inspired by what you just stated. You just kind of glossed over, but it was the 50, 60, 75, $80 signings that prepared you to do the 3, 4, 5 signings per day that you're now doing when you do $12,000. But you just can't jump to the $12,000 volume if you aren't learning that experience of handling volume. And the fact that you took that with the 60s and the 50s and the 75s, Dude, I love your mindset, and I hope people get inspired by that mindset. You didn't think down on the $75 sign.
You talk about scalability. A good problem to have in any business is how can I scale? So a big part of this business is scheduling and understanding that. So first thing you have to learn is how to get that text while you're driving. Now, we want to be safe, but we all got to be realistic. We're getting text while we're going from point A to point B. I honestly tell people when I sit down in a signing, I apologize. My phone's going to be going off while I'm here. I start every day, most days, with maybe zero business. And not a single person's given me any problems with that. I'll explain it, Doc, give it to them, get a bing while they're signing or reading that. I'll just take a look. Is it something I want to take? Maybe that's good. Maybe that, for me, it works. As long as you explain yourself, everybody's like, that's awesome. I mean, they're kind of excited. They're like, wow, that's another job. And we've been sitting here and that's gone off 10 times.
Yeah. Well, Mike, again, dude, that's another great nugget, right? You know, if you go into the signing setting up certain expectations, no one's upset. It's when you kind of like slide the phone underneath and you're like this, and it makes it awkward. But you're like, you know what, up front, you know, these are appointments I might need to answer. Are you okay with me answering it? Obviously, they say no, then you respect it. But
exactly,
if you ask up front, that's another great nugget. I hope people are taking notes, man. You're dropping fire on kind of how you build your systems. So, okay, cool. So now let's go. I didn't want to glance over how you use the lower level signings to build your experience to prep you for the next moment. So I apologize for interrupting.
So if you can know, but again, it's getting confidence in yourself to understand how this works.
Right.
You're out, you get a text, you want the job. Can you do it? Is the time right? Can I get back home? Print the documents fast enough, turn around, get out. So you have to kind of learn, or at least I did, you know, to feel comfortable. How do I do that? How do I get 2? How do I get 3? How do I get 4? So scale that way, because that's the most important part before you have your connections.
That's right. That's right.
You're going to get job opportunities. So you got to learn how to do it, scale it.
I love it. And you utilize the lower signing fees. Again, that's all relative because $75 for signing, it's not low, but it's relative now that you're making $150 a pop. But the point I'm trying to make is, and again, we'll move on to the next point is you know, you utilize the lower level signings to help really build your business to where it is today. And I hope some new signing agents are inspired by the idea that it's experience over money. And it literally helps you build the business where you are now. So let's get into the next beautiful part. So you stopped at First American. So I think you're going to say you got a text or something with First American. Start from there.
Yeah. So 2 things. So one thing, part of this, I started to see higher paying jobs, and I was freaked out about taking them because my mind just went to the point that if they're more expensive, they got to be bigger, larger, harder, you know, panic freak. So I kept putting a couple of those off, but I did get an in-house, $100 in-house signing at First American Title. Went in, met the people, asked questions. I'm not afraid to do that. And it was my first, and the office is like, you know, 5 minutes from my house. And so that's where I started to, you know, get my foot in the door, if you will. And then I finally, you know, I've got to go back and really find out what day I finally took my first $150 one. First American Title, $150. I'm freaking out because can't wait to see how big this document stack is going to be. And it was that big. And it's the same documents. And actually, we all know who the $75 and $85 ones are, and they give 12 pages of rules and regulations and COVID this, COVID that. First American is so easy to work with. Just check these boxes, use blue ink, and go.
Well, there's another great point, by the way, is, you know, that when you go direct, it's actually easier than working for signing services. That's the irony of it. You're getting paid twice as much, and it's actually easier. The instructions are less. They print you loan documents. Like, I want to inspire everybody to move over. Now, you know, in full transparency, you know, your journey, it was a little bit of fortuitous, meaning that First American text you But what we're going to get to a few parts of your journey later. But I do want to inspire people with that while it's fortuitous that First American found you on SnapDocs. Now, there's parts of the country where title companies are starting to use SnapDocs to find signing agents. They're not using a signing service. They're going directly to notaries via SnapDocs. So while it was fortuitous that you got an appointment via SnapDocs, so you didn't really do any cold marketing like some of our other students who do these interviews do. But with that being said, I don't want to take away from what is really inspiring is that once you got that text to get in, you made the decision to spread like wildfire in there. And so I think that is really something that I want to touch upon is that, once we're going to touch on the next question, but
Sure.
when you got into fortuitous, you took full advantage of the opportunity. And that's what a $12,000 a month signing agent does.
Right. I mean, when going back originally to the question about scaling it up and how did I really accelerate, it was just getting comfortable. Clearly, I was now comfortable mid-April to start taking those larger jobs, not panicking anymore, and then just doing anything and everything I could to try to connect, make them happy, make them feel, doing whatever it took to continue to get jobs. And then I started to see my first or second job from the same name.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's like, oh, okay, this person and I, okay, that's cool. That means they like me or something, but then there's a reason to connect maybe. And so, that's how, and I got my foot in, like we talked about, which we'll explore a little bit more, but it's just getting that little crack in the door and then exploiting it any way you can.
I love it. We'll talk about then the next question about how you exploited it. And so, but let's now talk about then. So you made $9,000 your second month, and then $12,000 this month. That is May 30th right now. So in 30 calendar days, you did a little bit over $12,000 in signing volume. You made $12,000. Like when I say that, does it really sink in that you did $12,000 in your third month?
Yeah, I mean, if you ask me, so it's like I said, it's just unbelievable. I'm still trying to, pinching myself. Is this really real? All right, let's try month 3.
Mike, it's real, my man. Can't get any more real. And I want you actually to think you're going to make $15,000 in June, because you will make $15,000 in June. You know the way I teach you guys, if you think normal's all your effort going to get, I want you to go to 15. You're going to have a signing service. That's how you got to start seeing. Because I'm going to tell you right now, and as you know, we have a ton of family members. When you start scaling, like your business is hockey sticking. Very rarely will it dip, because what you've done is you're building relationships that start building on top of each other. So right. I want you to have this abundance mentality, not the scarcity like it can go away, but this idea that it's going to get bigger, and it's going to get bigger because of the relationships you're currently building.
Well, so I appreciate that. That's really helpful, because it's just like, what are my goals? I'm very goal oriented. What are my goals going to be for June? And if we ever want to talk about that, we can get into that. But it's just making sure I'm doing everything to maintain. If it happens to grow because I'm making more connections, if this one doesn't do as much as they did last month, make sure I've got another new EO, another unit, blah 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 blah, to maintain that. And if it grows, great, awesome.
And it will. And you just got to understand, man, that your effort is because your results you're seeing now is because of the effort you put in before. So my point is, if you've already put in, the only reason you made $12,000 is because of the effort you put in the month you made 9. So you put the effort to make $12,000. That's why it's going to scale. That makes sense. So
yep.
Don't think anything less. I wanted you to get rid of all those negative thoughts. Dude, you're going to hit 15K. You're going to hit 20K, and then you're going to be like, Mark, where's that signing service course? Because I need to start building the signing service. I mean, my friend, you are at the 10K club in your third month as a signing agent. Like, it doesn't just happen on accident, man. Or every one of our students would do that. My point is that they don't. So don't downplay your amazingness, your effort to build your business where it is, man. Because this is I'm proud of you, man. I'm so proud of you. So, Mike, I know you've seen a few of these episodes. You know, at this point of the interview, I always ask, what is one piece of advice you would give a signing agent watching this right now to help grow their signing agent business?
Okay, great question. A little bit different maybe than some of the other comments from other folks. But to me, it's finding a reason to be in these title/escrow offices, dropping off docs, whatever it might be, taking an in-house signing. That's a legitimate reason to be there, and then exploit the living crap out of it and get more and more and more and more reasons to show up every single day. Where in my case, I'm part of their family now. I mean, literally, one of the escrow officers said to me, I'm glad you work here now.
But we dig deeper into the word exploit. So I want to help signing agent watching. So you use the word exploit. And again, exploit doesn't have a negative connotation to it, right? What exploit means is, looking for opportunities and taking advantage of an opportunity. So let's talk about some of those opportunities that you take that can maybe resonate with another signing agent watch. So when you use exploit, what are you doing? Kind of talk about that so we can help somebody out.
Well, and it's interesting because it really didn't start that way, to be honest with you. When I got the in-house signing, they've got a million cards. I took them and picked them up, but really it was just trying to, okay, Megan's the name of the receptionist. Okay, cool. And who's the person that hired me? Get to know them, and get that in the brain and stuff. Then what happened is I started to get more signings, my first or second signings with it. And what's amazing to me is not only do the escrow officer, every package you get has a FedEx label, every single one. And every single instruction say, drop it off at FedEx. Well, FedEx is 5 minutes, not even, it's 2 minutes from this title office. And I started saying, would you rather me drop it off? And I really wasn't looking at it as a sales opportunity. Just like, this is the obvious thing to do. Why spend your money at FedEx when I could just drop it off? And I started doing that as a regular, just another reason to talk to them in Snap Docs. Would you rather me do this? Got the docs, understand it, understand 2 IDs, understand this. Oh, and by the way, would you like me to save you money and drop? Oh, that's great. And then one escrow officer I'd never worked for saw it and was so thankful. And she said, you don't know how great this is. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? It's my job.
Yeah.
And we got a very fast email relationship going. And she's like, you don't know how important you are to me. And, she knows that I'll ask the questions if I don't understand. And from there, it just blossomed because the more I kept showing up, dropping off docs, the more I became friends with Megan, the receptionist. And then slowly but surely, other people started to get to know me. And I started cracking the nut with a couple of others. And now I've got at least a third of the office.
So many amazing things you said in there. The first thing I want to kind of touch deeper on is I think the first thing I want to mention to people watching this is what comes natural to you is that the idea of like, why would I have them spend money on FedEx when I can just drive them to them? The point I'm trying to make is that comes so unnatural. So many other signing agents that simple thing made them appreciate you so much. So what I'm trying to make sure that people watching this right now understand is some of the nice gratitude and authenticity things that might come inherent to you, it doesn't come to everybody else. So act upon it. Act upon what you think would be the natural movement, because your competition or other signing agents aren't making this small effort of like, let me drive them to your office. So I don't want to think that everyone thinks like you, and you're proof that everyone doesn't think like you, or they wouldn't be so appreciative of that fact you've done that. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah.
And I think that what becomes natural because you're an entrepreneur is kind of closing that full service, right? It's look, I know you're accepting 80% of the job. That's not how I operate. I'm going to give you a full service when you hire Mike, the signing agent, and anything less isn't acceptable. And so I want people to be inspired by the idea that, you go the full length, you finish the job front to end. And so few signing agents do that, Mike, that you see the response from that.
Yeah, I mean, once you've established that you're professional, that you care about them, you'll do whatever it takes to keep them happy, then, I mean, I get freaked, panicked, mad, pissed off if I make a mistake. And to a person, no problem, just got to go back out there and fix it. No problem. Did I lose any business on it? No. You know, I went in, I missed a stamp in an in-house one, and there was a bunch of reasons why, a lot of distractions going on. But I got a call, Mike, can you come back and stamp it? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so mad. And I came back in and they go, oh, we call that a Kelly. And Kelly's the EO officer ahead of this group because she does it all the time. And they said, well, as long as you don't start calling them Mikes, you know, it's okay. But the point is, everybody's so panicked about making, you know, most of these errors, these folks know how to fix it. Worst case, you have to go back out. There are other ways of fixing it. Da, 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 da. They know you're human. Most of them, they just want to know they can count on you, trust on you, that you're going to back up everything you say you're going to do. And if it means going back out there, they know they can count on you.
A lot of some of our fellow LSS students are still nervous about taking that first signing because they're so scared of making a mistake, and it holds them back from making that, accepting the first order they see in text. So I want to say thank you for mentioning that. Like, you don't lose business just because you make an error, right? People understand you're human. So I'm hoping people are inspired by you explaining that, look, I've made errors, and you're a $12,000 signing agent, and it costs you business, and it costs you a relationship. So I'm hoping new signing agents are a little bit nervous about, oh my gosh, I have to be error-free, while your goal should be to be error-free. Your goal should be to be perfect. Sometimes that you're not isn't the end of the world.
Right. You know, and again, I tell them, I just want you to hold me accountable. Call me when I make a mistake. I'll do whatever it takes to make it right. That's my job. I will make it right.
I love it. Well, man, I mean, if people know what to listen for, I think that this interview has been fire. I'm going to say a little bit of nugget out loud, what you drop, which is a little silent nugget. And again, a lot of these stuff we teach in the loan signing system, but I want these interviews to really help everybody, even if they're not loan signing system students. And I think something you said that I don't want to go unnoticed is, you know, you made friends with the receptionist. And, you know, you said that kind of very smoothly, as if almost anyone had to pick that up. But the concept that I always teach and that you picked up really quick with is like, everybody's equal. Everybody has an opportunity to help you get business, and creating authentic, real relationships with even people who can't get you signings is as important as creating relationships with people who can. So again, man, you know, like what I want to say too is, you know, you called me up a little bit nervous, you know, Mark, can you really teach me something? And what I've noticed throughout this conversation is you've implemented a lot of things that you've learned with the system, loan signing system, and that's called being coachable. And the fact that you're coachable, man, and you're an implementer, I got to commend you, because not everybody is. And so I hear you taking a lot of our principles and my principles and just crushing it, dude. And I can't be more proud of not just the money you're making, but the progression you're making as a signing agent and as a business owner, dude. So I commend you for that.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. It's been, like I said, a wild ride. It's only the beginning, as you said, and I can't imagine what month 3, other than the fact that I am trying to get a new car to go fully mobile and implement that to also help the hockey stick effect.
I love it. I love it. Okay, well, let's get to that last question. I think is going to help a few signing agents, right? Is you know, when you first started this process, you were nervous. We all are, right? You're always nervous about something you've never done before. So I want to talk about what you were nervous, you know, a whole whopping 3 months ago. What were you nervous when you started to hopefully help someone else calm their nerves? They're like, look, Mike, I do $12,000 a month. I was nervous about that too. What were you nervous about looking back? You're like, dude, why was I even nervous?
Well, I think just like everybody, it's taking that first job. It's being nervous. You know, I've got to hit snap. I got to accept them. Will I get it? And then if I get it, oh my God, what's going to happen next? And you just got to do it. You know, it's, you know, the worst thing that can happen, you screw it up. And I did. I know the exact doc. It was an acknowledgement, and it says bye. And when it said bye, I put Mike Schwartz instead of putting the client's name. You know, and I didn't realize it at the time. I sent the docs off, and my buddy who got me into this said, oh, no, that's not how you do it. But I got paid. I moved on to the next job and the next job and the next job. So I call this, and this is when I was teaching, you got to take a step forward every day, taking a step forward. And the only way you're going to do it is to hit that accept or I'm available button. Take what it throws at you. That's why you're here. Then take the next one. Then take the next one. Then do that first day where you do 2 or 3, a little, and then you can scale up as much as you want. But
I love it. I think what's really inspiring is, some people on the outside watching is like, oh, Mike did $12,000. He must have been full of confidence from day one. And, the fact that you're admitting that you were, right? Nerves are normal, man. Experience is our best teacher. And so I appreciate you walking through that. So, because there's someone out there who's not taking that first signing or not becoming a signing agent because, like, how can I do something I've never done before? And you said it right. I love your step analogy, man, right? It's just one foot in front of the other, and you will get better. You can't be an amazing golfer until you take 5,000 rounds, right? I mean, it's just life. And so not letting your fear hold you back is what ultimately has made you successful in this business. And hopefully you've inspired someone today saying, like, look, I do 12,000 bucks a month, but I was as nervous as you probably are right this moment.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm ADHD. I'm lazy. And this is like the greatest job for it because it's micro tasks, right? You got a job, micro task, print them out, read any rules that they need, blah, 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 go. But, what I will say is that I see a lot of questions in Facebook. Do I need the scanner to get, do I need, and all you're doing is putting another check mark that I've got to do this because otherwise I can't take a, no, take a freaking signing. To this day, I've done 1 scan back. 1.
Love it.
I just didn't take them. There are other jobs.
That's right. And I love it. And another beautiful part about going direct, if we can inspire people about going direct, is like direct is so much easier than signing service business, man. It's like you get your docs, you don't need a scan, you drop them off, you get 150 bucks, and you move on.
I get it. And it was so, it's funny you say that because, yeah, I started going, by the way, hey, Mike, can you do a 4:30? Sure, but I've got a 2 and I don't know how late it's going to do. Can I drop docs off and can you print it and have it for, oh yeah, Megan will have it.
I can't be more proud of you. I mean, you've done this in 90 days. Like, wrap your head around that, right? I mean, in 90 days, you've made almost $25,000. Like, what other business in America in your first 90 days can you clear almost $25,000?
0. No, like I said, entrepreneur, I know of nothing that you can do this. But again, I do want to go restate, like you restate, I think I'm very fortuitous that I have a big office that clearly was underserved by the notary community. I also want to say that
I'm going to stop because you said something, and I will say this until my face turns blue, and you are proof of it. 90% of escrow offices, period, are underserved by the current notary community. And that's why loan signing system students make so much money. It's because it's never about the money. It's about serving your clients to the best of your ability, and the money follows. But I don't ever teach you guys to chase the money. I teach you to bring the value because so many other notaries don't. So while it was maybe fortuitous how you got into the office, it is not fortuitous about how you've scaled it, because you've chosen to be a full service notary. You've chosen to listen to your clients and who is gluten-free. You've chosen to be authentic. You've chosen to be fully grateful for the opportunity you've been given. You've been showing the authenticity of a real human. While 90 days ago, I was flat, 0 income, and now I'm making money. So Megan, I'm going to show you my gratitude. So it's not fortuitous you've scaled this to $12,000 in 1 month. So I want to make sure that you recognize that, man. And I hope everyone else gets inspired, because you said it right. That First American Escrow Office has been in business for, let's say, 20 years. You get in there, and within 60 days, you're the go-to notary. And that's because every notary before you underserves them, and you didn't. And I hope people realize that there's a big myth out there, Mike, and maybe we can wrap up with this. Sure. Is, oh, I can never break into a new office because they already have a notary. You broke into a new office that already had a notary. You just outperformed the current notary. And when I say outperform, I don't mean not miss a signature, not miss a date. I mean showing value. I mean having gratitude, about being appreciative, about being a real human being. And so there's so many notaries watching saying, oh, Mike, I can't get into the First American office down my street. You've proved that you can. You're 90 days into the business and you've already worked your way into a First American office. So inspire people how about they could also duplicate what you did by just being real and authentic.
Absolutely. And, you know, if you look at SnapDocs, if you go in the front door and do a notary search, which I recently did, you won't believe how many pages and pages and pages and pages of notaries there are in Portland through SnapDocs. Because that was one of the things I thought. I'm like, maybe there's only 20 of us that are using SnapDocs, and I'm just really lucky. No, there are a gazillion of them. But it's, again, getting your foot in the door, whether it's Old Republic, whatever, asking questions, even if they, hide, all the escrow officers are hidden in the back. Find some reason to ask them a question about the docs, or show them something you want to make sure they're comfortable with. Get them to come on out, introduce yourself. Now they've heard your name, and next time they see your name come up, boom, they'll give it to you. And that, it's just finding those ways to connect with them on a personal level, and I think good things will happen.
And let me end the interview with this last question. Do you think that any notary can work their way into a major title company, even though there's a notary already there, and get business from that title company?
100%. 100%. 100%.
And why is that?
Because there are just too many ways. First of all, look, I could tell you, I know, because I get really mad when I don't get one of their jobs, because I'm busy, because I'm slammed for the day, I'm across town. So somebody's filling those jobs. Somebody else is, which is you, the person who doesn't have their foot in the door. And all you have to do is take that opportunity.
I love it. With that being said, Mike, thank you for an amazing interview. Thank you for inspiring other people. And I'll talk to you soon, man. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.